All right, so Robinhood just launched a new credit card. I'm not talking about their debit card, I'm talking about their credit card. I'm talking about the card that gives you 3% cash back on all categories. But now here's the thing, should I actually get the card? Well, I got myself a leftover croissant and we're gonna dive into it during this video. Hey, my name is Nick, and on this channel we talk about tips and tricks, the things that I wish I knew. In this case, how to evaluate if a new credit card is worth getting or not. As always, there'll be timestamps listed as well as a written article of this video in the description below. Now, before we get into the details of whether or not these perks and benefits are actually worth it, let's figure out what they are actually offering. The first thing that they're offering is 3% cash back on any category. That's a pretty big deal considering that most other cashback cards are going to give you at max 2% on all categories. Bringing it up 1% is definitely kicking the industry up a notch. The second thing that they're doing is they're adding 5% cash back on any travel that's booked through their actual travel portal. Now, this one doesn't really shake up the industry as much because there's a lot of travel portals that will give you 5% cash back with their cards, but pairing that with a 3% cash back card on anything, it's a pretty good combo when you think about it. Now, there are some other things that it's also offering, like no foreign transaction fees, which makes it a good card for when you're traveling internationally. But there is one requirement in order to actually get this card. You have to be a Robinhood Gold member. Just like Amazon requires you to have an Amazon Prime account before you can get their credit card, Robinhood is requiring the same thing, where you need to be a gold member in order to be eligible for this credit card. So if you are already paying for that service, then this card can be an easy level up. If you're not, then there is one additional thing that you're gonna have to consider of whether or not that membership fee is actually worth it. Okay, so who's this credit card good for? When we're thinking about credit cards, there's kind of three different buckets you can think of. You have your starter cards, which is like, hey, I am either getting my first card or I'm working on my credit score. B is your everyday card. This is gonna be the card where you're basically gonna use it to spend on anything and everything, has no annual fee, at least a little bit of rewards or perks that you're gonna be able to take advantage of. The last one is your premium cards. Now, this is the one where I think infamously they're heavy, they're made of metal, they make a giant clink when you drop them. But the big thing to really look out for these is they're usually gonna require a higher credit score. They might have a couple $100 annual fee. And then there's gonna be tailored benefits and services from those cards specific for the card holders. Now, if you ask Robinhood, who is the gold card best for? They're gonna say everybody, because they basically grabbed some of the benefits and perks of all three of those to create the Robinhood Gold card. Now, if you ask me, there's one additional layer that I'll put over the top of that, and that is that you have to be someone that is really optimizing for cash back rather than points. If you're someone like me that likes to do more point hacking and travel hacking and things like that, this is a card that I probably won't end up having in my wallet, but if I was optimizing on the cash back side, then this is a card to definitely consider. All right, so with this cashback card, am I getting cashback or am I getting points? Technically, it's a cashback card, but it's represented in points. Confusing? I know, it is, but let's dive a little bit more into it. So with the Robinhood credit card, you're gonna get 3% back on all categories. What that means is every dollar that you spend, you get 3 cents back, but it's gonna be represented as 3 points. Now, why do they do this? I think it's for purely the looks of it all, because having 300 points seems like a lot more than saying I have $3. So no matter how many points that you end up accumulating, just remember that the actual cash value of that is going to be divided by 100, and that'll be able to convert the total number of points that you have into dollars. Now, this is completely different than a rewards point card, where some of those points could be worth 2, 3, 5, 10 cents each. That's a totally different thing than cashback. Remember, cashback cards, 1 cent, 1 point. So now that I have all these points, how am I going to spend them? There's 2 major ways that you're going to be able to spend these points. The first one is by transferring it from the actual card point system into a Robinhood brokerage cash account. This isn't the actual investing account, so you're not losing anything, there's no risk. It's just a holding place within Robinhood that basically functions the same way as like a checking account. From there, then you can decide to actually invest it, or you can transfer it to your normal bank account where you'll be able to have full access to that cash. The other way is spending it on either shopping, gift cards, or travel. So if you were to go into the travel portal, you can redeem some of those points towards the travel. They have a couple of shopping partners that they have, same kind of thing. The one thing to remember is whether it's a gift card, whether you're shopping, whether it's travel, the conversion is still going to be 1 cent to 1 point. So how do I actually find this card? If you already have the app, when you click it, it's going to show you that you can actually reserve or sign up for the card. If you don't have the app or you don't see that notification, you can go to Robinhood/credit card, and that'll take you directly to their page where you can then go through the prompt to find out more information about the card or actually then get the card. Keep in mind though, you will need to have a Robinhood Gold account. So let's touch on that really briefly. Here's a screenshot from their website about what the Robinhood Gold membership includes. There's a couple of perks, but really it's to make the overall experience on Robinhood easier, faster, quicker. Now, I'm not going to go too much into detail on the actual membership itself and the details of it all, but I'll include a link of that also in the description so that you can find out more information if you're interested in that as well. Hey, we'll get right back to the video in a quick second. I just want to let you know that any of the guides, tools, resumes that you see in this video or any of my other videos, I've put together in what I call the Trailblazers Foundation Kit, and it's free to anyone in my community. You can access it and have it emailed directly to you at nicholasayala.com/kit. All right, that's it. Back to the video. All right, so what is the actual verdict of this card? I think there's two different camps that you'll either fall into. One is the camp where you already have a Robinhood Gold membership account, you care about cashback rewards, and maybe you either haven't optimized the overall system or you're just looking to level it up a little bit. This card in most cases actually makes sense to get because it's just going to add to the ecosystem that you're already kind of invested in. And if you recall from any of my other videos, I'm a huge advocate on simplifying your finances. So kind of keeping everything under one house totally makes sense. In this case, it's the Robinhood house. The other camp, because you're not already a gold member, that's one thing that you're gonna have to consider is whether or not that membership is actually worth it. So again, that's $5 a month, $50 for the year. And then on top of that, if you're optimizing for cash back or if you're optimizing for travel rewards points, if you're optimizing for cash back, then you want to compare this to all your other cashback cards. So let's say you're using the Fidelity card or the Wells Fargo card. Both of those have no annual fee and they're getting 2% back on all categories. So the break even point here is whatever that 1% in cash back you'll get per year. And is it more or less than the $50 a year that'll cost in order to become a member of Robinhood in order to actually get the card? And then if you're more focused on the actual travel rewards side, that's kind of where I lie. I would probably have to say that this is not a card that I'm going to be jumping to actually apply for because I kind of have all my other systems set up and this one isn't going to change what I'm really optimizing a ton. And so for me, this card is probably going to be a pass, but I will keep an eye on it if they do change any of the perks, benefits, or things in the future, because this card right now is a pretty strong card overall and could be something in the future that I might actually want to consider. So there you have it. Robinhood leveled up the financial industry again, this time with their cashback credit card. If there's any comments that you have, please feel free to drop them below. And if you haven't already, please like, comment, and subscribe as it's super helpful for the algorithm. And I will see you in the next one.